William Henry Gates III, known universally as Bill Gates, is a name that resonates with innovation, wealth, and global impact. His life, spanning from a curious child in Seattle to the co-founder of Microsoft Corporation and a leading philanthropist through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, is a testament to ambition, adaptability, and purpose. This essay explores Gates' journey in vivid detail, covering his childhood education, the rise of Microsoft, his personal life, his shift to philanthropy, and the business lessons he has shared from decades of leadership. Written in clear, accessible language for an American audience, this comprehensive account aims to paint a full picture of a man whose influence has shaped technology, business, and global health. Gates was born on October 28, 1955, in Seattle, Washington, into an upper-middle-class family that nurtured his intellect and drive. His father, William H. Gates Sr., was a prominent attorney who co-founded a successful law firm, while his mother, Mary Maxwell Gates, transitioned from schoolteacher to civic leader, serving on boards like the United Way. Bill, the second of three children, grew up alongside his older sister, Christiane Christie, and younger sister, Elizabeth Libby. The Gates household was a hub of intellectual stimulation, with books lining the shelves and family dinners filled with lively debates. Mary, in particular, encouraged her children to think critically and engage with the world, fostering Bill's curiosity and sense of responsibility. As a young boy, Bill was a bundle of energy, often challenging to manage. His parents enrolled him in activities like Cub Scouts and later Boy Scouts to channel his restlessness. At age 14, he earned the Eagle Scout rank, showcasing his ability to set and achieve goals, a trait that would define his career. Bill's competitive nature shone through in family game nights, where he played Risk or Monopoly with fierce determination, hating to lose. His parents recognized his intellectual gifts early, and at age 11, they sent him to Lakeside School, a private preparatory school known for its academic excellence. This decision would prove transformative. Lakeside introduced Bill to computers in 1968, when he was just 13. The school had a rare asset, a teletype terminal connected to a General Electric mainframe, funded by a mother's club rummage sale. Computers were a novelty in the 1960s, and Bill was instantly hooked. He spent hours learning BASIC, a programming language, and experimenting with code. At Lakeside, he met Paul Allen, a senior 2 years older, who shared his passion for technology. The two became inseparable, sneaking into the computer room after hours and dreaming of a future where computers were everywhere. Their friendship laid the groundwork for a historic partnership. Bill wasn't just a tech enthusiast at Lakeside. He excelled in math, science, English, and history, and even dabbled in drama, playing leads in school plays. Teachers noted his brilliance, but also his tendency to question authority, often rocking back and forth when deep in thought, a habit that persisted into adulthood. By high school, Bill's programming skills were exceptional. He wrote a tic-tac-toe game and, with Paul, developed a scheduling program for Lakeside's classes, slyly rigging it to place himself in classes with girls he liked. This project showed his knack for blending technical skill with practical application. Bill and Paul's ambitions extended beyond school. In 1970, at age 15, Bill co-founded Trafo Data with Paul, a venture to analyze traffic data for municipalities using a computer they built from scratch. They processed paper tapes from traffic counters, producing reports for local governments. The business earned them a few $1,000s, but wasn't a blockbuster. Still, it taught Bill about coding, hardware, and the basics of running a company. His confidence was striking. He once told a teacher he'd be a millionaire by 30, a prediction he'd vastly exceed. In 1973, Bill graduated from Lakeside with stellar grades and a National Merit Scholarship. At 17, he enrolled at Harvard University, planning to study math or law, following in his father's footsteps. Harvard was a leap, exposing the peers as brilliant as he was. He lived in Currier House, where he met Steve Ballmer, a gregarious math major who became a lifelong friend and later Microsoft EO. Bill's freshman year was a mix of exploration and distraction. He took courses in applied mathematics and economics, but gravitated to the computer lab, often skipping classes to code or play poker. His passion for technology remained his true north. In December 1974, Paul Allen, then working in Boston, Show Bill an article in Popular Electronics about the Altair 8800, a microcomputer kit from MITS. The Altair was a game changer, an affordable computer for hobbyists. Bill and Paul saw an opportunity to write software that would make it accessible to non-experts. Bill, in a bold move, called MITS, claiming they had a basic interpreter ready for the Altair. It was a bluff. They hadn't written a line of code. When MITS expressed interest, Bill dropped out of Harvard in his sophomore year, convincing his parents he'd return if it failed. He and Paul worked feverishly, coding on Harvard's computers. In early 1975, they delivered a working basic interpreter, and it ran successfully on the Altair. This marked the birth of Microsoft. In April 1975, Bill and Paul founded Microsoft in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where MITS was headquartered. Bill, at 19, was the business brain, handling contracts and hiring, while Paul, 22, focused on technical development. Their early days were gritty, working out a small office and living in budget motels. Their basic software was a hit, but amidst financial struggles led to disputes. Bill's foresight in retaining ownership of their code allowed Microsoft to license BASIC to other companies, like Apple and Commodore, as the personal computer market grew. In 1977, Microsoft moved to Bellevue, Washington, closer to Bill's hometown. The late 1970s were a formative period for Microsoft. The personal computer industry was booming, and Bill envisioned software as its cornerstone. He hired talented programmers, many from Lakeside or Harvard, and fostered a culture of intense work and innovation, known for his blunt feedback. "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Bill was a demanding leader but inspired loyalty with his vision. A computer on every desk, running Microsoft software. He worked grueling hours, often coding alongside his team, and expected the same commitment from others. His ability to anticipate tech trends, like the rise of microcomputers, set Microsoft apart. In 1980, Microsoft secured its defining deal. IBM, the computing giant, was developing its first personal computer, the IBM PC, and needed an operating system. IBM approached Microsoft, assuming Bill and Paul could provide one. They didn't have an operating system, but Bill seized the opportunity. He purchased QDOS, Quick and Dirty Operating System, from a Seattle programmer for $50,000, then tailored it for IBM. Renamed MS-DOS, it powered the IBM PC, launched in 1981. Bill's masterstroke was negotiating a non-exclusive license, allowing Microsoft to sell MS-DOS to other manufacturers. As IBM-compatible PCs proliferated, MS-DOS became the industry standard, generating millions from Microsoft. MS-DOS made Microsoft a powerhouse, but Bill's ambitions grew. Inspired by Xerox's graphical user interface, GUI, and Apple's Macintosh, he saw the future in user-friendly software. In 1981, Microsoft began developing Windows, a GUI to run on MS-DOS. Windows 1.0, launched in 1985, was clunky and poorly received, but Bill persisted. Windows 2.0, 1987, improved, and Windows 3.0, 1990, was a runaway success with intuitive design and multitasking capabilities. Windows 3.1, 1992, sold over 1 million copies in months, cementing Microsoft's dominance. Microsoft also revolutionized productivity software with Microsoft Office, integrating Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. By the mid-1990s, Microsoft controlled 90% of the operating system market, and Bill, in his 30s, was a billionaire. Success brought challenges. Microsoft's aggressive tactics, bundling software, undercutting rivals like Netscape, sparked accusations of monopolistic behavior. In 1998, the U.S. Department of Justice filed an antitrust lawsuit, alleging Microsoft used its Windows dominance to stifle competition. The trial, which stretched into 2001, was a public ordeal. Bill testified for hours, often appearing defensive or evasive, which hurt his image. A judge initially ordered Microsoft to split into two companies, but an appeals court overturned the ruling. In 2001, Microsoft settled, agreeing to share technical data with competitors. The case forced Bill to rethink Microsoft's approach, pushing for more collaboration and transparency. While building Microsoft, Bill's personal life took shape. In 1987, he met Melinda French, a Duke-educated product manager at Microsoft. Melinda was intelligent, grounded, and unintimidated by Bill's intensity. They bonded over shared interests like puzzles and philanthropy, and married in 1994 in a private Hawaiian ceremony attended by close friends, including Warren Buffett. The couple settled in Medina, Washington, in a 66,000-square-foot mansion dubbed Xanadu 2.0, featuring high-tech amenities like automated lighting. They had 3 children, Jennifer, 1996, Rory, 1999, and Phoebe, 2002. Bill aimed to be an involved father, driving his kids to school and setting strict screen time rules, despite their tech-centric world. By the late 1990s, Bill began reflecting on his legacy. Influenced by his mother's civic work and Warren Buffett's philosophy of giving, he and Melinda founded the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2000, consolidating their wealth into a $17 billion endowment. The foundation focused on global health, education, and poverty reduction. In 2000, Bill stepped down as Microsoft CEO, appointing Steve Ballmer, but remained chairman and chief software architect. This shift allowed him to prioritize philanthropy, which became his new passion. The Gates Foundation grew into the world's largest private charity, with an endowment now exceeding $50 billion. Bill and Melinda traveled to Africa and Asia, confronting the realities of poverty and disease. Shocked that millions died from preventable illnesses like malaria, they funded vaccine research, mosquito nets, and clean water programs. Bill applied his analytical approach, insisting on measurable outcomes. The foundation's support for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, has vaccinated over 900 million children, saving millions of lives. In the U.S., the foundation invested in education reform, funding charter schools and teacher training, though initiatives like Common Core drew criticism for being overly rigid. Bill listened to feedback, adjusting strategies to be more inclusive. Philanthropy transformed Bill's public image. Once seen as a ruthless CEO, he became a compassionate leader. In 2006, Warren Buffett pledged $31 billion to the foundation, a historic gift. In 2010, Bill and Melinda launched the Giving Pledge, convincing over 200 billionaires, including Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, to donate half their wealth. Bill's writings, like his Gates Notes blog and speeches on polio, climate change, and education, showcase his evolving priorities. In 2008, he left Microsoft's daily operations, though he advised on projects like Windows Vista and Azure. In 2021, Bill's personal life faced a public setback when he and Melinda announced their divorce after 27 years. The split was amicable, and they committed to co-running the foundation. Reports about Bill's past behavior, including workplace conduct, surfaced, prompting scrutiny. He remained focused on his work, letting his actions speak louder than rumors. The divorce didn't slow his philanthropy, though it sparked introspection. Today, at 69, Bill is a global thought leader. His 2021 book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, proposes practical solutions for net zero emissions, and he funds clean energy startups like TerraPower. During COVID-19, the foundation invested billions in vaccine development, though Bill faced baseless conspiracy theories, which he countered with data. He reads voraciously, up to 50 books annually, and shares insights on X and Gates Notes. His wealth, estimated at $130 billion, fuels his mission, but he plans to give most of it away, leaving his children modest inheritances. Business lessons from Bill Gates. Bill Gates' success at Microsoft and his approach to philanthropy offer valuable lessons for aspiring entrepreneurs and leaders. Over decades, he has shared insights through interviews, writings, and speeches, reflecting on what drove Microsoft's dominance and his own growth as a leader. Below are key business lessons drawn from his career, grounded in his experiences and articulated in his own words where possible. Vision and persistence are crucial. Gates' vision of a computer on every desk and in every home guided Microsoft from its inception. In the 1970s, when computers were bulky mainframes used by corporations, this idea seemed far-fetched. Yet Gates believed personal computers would transform society. He and Paul Allen pursued this vision relentlessly, starting with BASIC for the Altair and later with MS-DOS and Windows. Even when Windows 1.0 flopped, Gates didn't abandon the GUI concept. He iterated, releasing improved versions until Windows 3.0 succeeded. Success is a lousy teacher, Gates once said. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. His persistence through setbacks, like the antitrust case, shows that a clear vision, paired with resilience, can overcome obstacles. Seize opportunities, even if you're not fully prepared. When IBM approached Microsoft for an operating system, Gates didn't have one, but promised to deliver. He bought QDOS and adapted it into MS-DOS, turning a bold gamble into a defining moment. Similarly, when he and Paul pitched BASIC to MITS without a finished product, they worked tirelessly to meet the deadline. Gates has emphasized taking calculated risks. You don't have to be perfect to get started, but you have to start to be great. This lesson underscores the importance of acting on opportunities, even under pressure, and figuring out solutions along the way. Negotiate smart deals. Gates' business acumen is shown in Microsoft's early deals. When licensing BASIC to MITS, he retained ownership of the code, allowing Microsoft to sell it to other companies. With IBM, he secured a non-exclusive license for MS-DOS, enabling Microsoft to dominate the PC market as IBM clones proliferated. These decisions multiplied Microsoft's revenue. Gates has said, "The most important deals are the ones you walk away from knowing you created value for both sides." His ability to negotiate terms that preserve Microsoft leverage teaches entrepreneurs to think long-term and protect their core assets. Hire smart people and empower them. Gates surrounded himself with brilliant minds, like Steve Ballmer and early hires from Lakeside and Harvard. He valued intelligence and work ethic, often hiring people smarter than himself in specific areas. At Microsoft, he fostered a culture of debate, encouraging employees to challenge ideas, including his own. "I always hired people who were better than me at something," Gates has noted. However, he balanced empowerment with high expectations, pushing his team to meet tight deadlines. This approach built a dynamic, innovative workforce that drove Microsoft growth. Stay ahead of trends. Gates had an uncanny ability to predict technological shifts. He foresaw the rise of personal computer GUIs and later the internet, though Microsoft was slow to embrace it. He read voraciously, from technical journals to economic reports, to stay informed. When the internet emerged in the mid-1990s, Gates pivoted Microsoft to focus on Internet Explorer and online services, catching up to Netscape. "You have to be paranoid to stay on top," he once said, echoing Intel's Andy Grove. This lesson emphasizes constant learning and adaptability in a fast-changing world. Learn from failure and criticism. The antitrust lawsuit was a low point for Gates, exposing Microsoft's aggressive tactics and damaging his reputation. Yet he used the experience to grow. The settlement forced Microsoft to open its platform to competitors, fostering a more collaborative industry. Gates reflected, "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning." Similarly, in philanthropy, when the Foundation's education initiatives faced pushback, Gates adjusted strategies based on feedback. Embracing criticism and adapting are key to long-term success. Focus on impact, not just profit. Gates' shift to philanthropy reflects a lesson he learned later in life. Success is about impact, not just wealth. At Microsoft, he prioritized products that empowered users, like Windows and Office. In philanthropy, he applied the same rigor, using data to maximize the Foundation's impact. "Money has no utility to me beyond a certain point," he has said. "Its utility is entirely in building an organization and getting resources to the poorest in the world." This mindset encourages leaders to align their work with a broader purpose. Work hard, but work smart. Gates was known for his intense work ethic, often pulling 16-hour days in Microsoft's early years. Yet he also worked smart, automating tasks through software and delegating to capable teams. He once shared, "I choose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." This reflects his belief in efficiency, finding streamlined solutions to complex problems, whether in coding or business operations. Balance confidence with humility. Gates' early confidence bordered on arrogance, as seen in his bold pitches to MITS and IBM. But the antitrust case and personal challenges, like his divorce, taught him humility. He learned to listen to critics, collaborate with partners, and admit mistakes. In philanthropy, he works with experts, acknowledging he doesn't have all the answers. Confidence gets you in the door, but humility keeps you there, he has said. This balance is critical for sustained leadership. Give back strategically. Gates Philanthropy isn't about writing checks. It's about solving problems systematically. The Gates Foundation uses data, partnerships, and innovation to address global challenges, from malaria to education. Gates has said, philanthropy should be catalytic, not just generous. His approach teaches business leaders to apply their skills to social good, leveraging resources for maximum impact. These lessons, drawn from Gates' triumphs and challenges, offer a blueprint for success. His ability to combine vision, risk-taking, and adaptability built Microsoft into a titan. His shift to philanthropy shows how those same skills can address global problems. Aspiring entrepreneurs can learn from his strategic thinking, resilience, and commitment to impact. Bill Gates' life is a story of evolution. From a curious kid to a tech mogul to a global philanthropist, he has continually reinvented himself. At 69, he remains active, writing books like How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, 2021, funding clean energy ventures like TerraPower, and sharing insights on X and Gates Notes. During COVID-19, his foundation invested billions in vaccines, though he faced unfounded conspiracies, which he countered with facts. His wealth, estimated at $130 billion, fuels his mission, but he plans to give most of it away, ensuring his children inherit modestly. Gates' journey reflects the American dream: opportunity, innovation, and responsibility. He built Microsoft from a dorm room idea into a global empire, then redirected his wealth to save lives. Flawed yet driven, Gates embodies what's possible when intellect meets purpose. His legacy, still unfolding, is not just in software or philanthropy, but in the lessons he offers for building a better future.